million bazillion round already, so you've had all the privilege of making all the mistakes you can. Hopefully you figured out a couple of situations, and if their debrief has been effective, they should be able to sort of clean these out. I like that you mentioned Icy. I think his passive defensive play with the AWP was pretty good. When he was out there, a couple of mistakes here and there, but I think it's time for me to shut up and get into the game.
Yeah, I would love to hear more from both of you. Quick predictions, please, before I throw it to our casters.
Fnatic.
All right, Jackie and Vince, over to you.
Right then, this is such a weird matchup. AMKAL, they don't play Overpass, Vince, but they played a lot of it yesterday. They always float it in a veto, and it popped up. And we're back on it again with them taking on Fnatic, mate. This is going to be a bit of a hurricane game.
I think it will be, and a lot of people watching that game yesterday were scratching their heads like, this is the scrappiest Counter-Strike I've ever seen. So
they don't play it.
I really have no idea what to expect, but maybe they've gone back to the drawing board. They're going to learn very quickly and assimilate this into their map pool as Krad goes in for the first, and they are spilling out onto this A side. Already 2 casualties. Matty's going to try his best to repel this push, but Krad says no with that Glock, shuts it down for a 2-on-4 retake.
Okay, scrappy pistol round then, but an advantage in the hands of AMKAL. As they set up on the angles, QB looking for the retake out towards Bank, but Krad cashes in another kill, and Crims gets wiped away by Icy. Now, Icy, Vince, is an interesting prospect for this team. He's one of those where it's a weird kind of performance from him. He either absolutely pops off, or he just doesn't turn up. Yesterday, we had him missing some really easy AWP shots, but then finding the free Ks. Hates the easy ones, loves the hard ones.
Yeah, and it felt as if on that first half, it took him quite a while to get warmed up. It was the CT side that we were casting where he really did pop off and land a whole bunch of AWP shots. So they'll be hoping that's not the case here. Obviously, being on the T side, don't necessarily need the AWP necessarily. You can run and gun it, especially in CS2, and especially in this round in particular. 2 MAC-10s going to be ripping through with these Glils and AKs. And although they're moving on to the stack side, that's a beautiful double tap from Forrester onto Matty's. Because he gets that first kill, it's going to give him a pretty good idea with a USP shot that just grazed his shoulder that this is a stacked bomb site. And that may afford AMKAL the luxury of looking elsewhere, and that's exactly what Nickelback's going for. MAC-10 out in the front, allowing himself to be the canary down the mine shaft, look for some players, and then get that plant down and convert it into the 2-0. Another player I'd like to highlight as well from this AMKAL team was Travis. He started very slow, but man, when he came alive, he was getting 3 and 4 Ks left and right yesterday.
He was a big backbone for the team. You know, that opening game that we saw from them, Vince, he was a huge part of their sort of success, really, in the rounds they were able to win. So you'd hope that Travis can show up again. Forrest up. Just lurking outside towards the monster pipe, seeing if he can sniff his way into any more ecos. A couple frags here and there if possible. They shoot at the toes and do take him down, but it's only the 1 casualty, Vince, so not the worst equation in the world. Recovered Galil won't do too much for Fnatic.
Bolsters their buy into the next round a little bit, but I'm not even sold on the idea of them keeping this with Travis so close. And when there's no Kevlar in play, that MAC-10, a real pain, a real nuisance. They're trying to close the noose from 2 separate angles, giving their position away now. And here comes Travis. He's going to be looking for those kills. There's the first one. That's the Glil that drops down. They try and get a second one. Afro picks it up. But he will be able to survive. He will be able to save this one. So they at least get a rifle out of it, considering they had just USPs and they just went for a stack, a kill, a Galil. Not too bad.
You get something. You get something at least. So they take that through to the next. And it was a cool point that they had brought up on the desk as well, the polarizing IGL stats of Body. A player that at times, you don't really expect him to have these huge performances, Vince. You expect him to kind of be middle of the pack, obviously being the puppet master behind the team. But in the game they won, he showed up massively. The game they lost, he wasn't really on the server. Afro, another player that went nuclear, Vince, with the AWP. He was really good on that opening Anubis game in terms of opening up the rounds. A great entry for them. And you want to see Afro come into his own. CT side Overpass is kind of a bit of an AWP's paradise if you can find your confidence and find the money to afford it.
Well, this is the very map, if we cast our minds back to Shiro, when he really emerged. This is a map he was phenomenal on with the AWP on the CT side with those Gambit youngsters. Matty's obliterated from the HE. Horrible start if you are Fnatic. Ooh, QB took tons of damage through that smoke as well. Afro's going to get aggressive out into the lion's den. There's multiple players here. He's going to be a dead man. That was seems like a desperation play to me because you've hemorrhaged kills elsewhere, and now Body is going to be between multiple players of his own. Nice double frag comes in for him, and he lands a triple headshot. It's not enough to dispatch of Travis, but he's given his team a chance.
It's one of those, Vince. You see him hit the dink, you're thinking the second bullet will land and he'll clean up with 3 frags. Instead, it's 38 seconds on the clock in a 3 versus 2. The mist smoke round towards the van, potentially giving an opportunity for Fnatic to fight back. QB lining up the nade, wants to drop that down on the head of the planter, but it's small amounts of damage. A little bit of shrapnel.
QB on 32 though. 1 bullet lands on him, he's a goner. They're setting up more for exit frags at this stage. I don't think they can fully commit to this, can they? They've got no kits between these two players. They've got no grenades. This seems like madness. The Crims is going to show that maybe he's saying, after all, Forrester stuck on the site, and now they realize they have to pull the plug. Even if they were able to pave the way with the blood of the T's, it doesn't make a great deal of difference. And Forrester going to try and shut them down. The bomb may finish off QB. I think he's going to be safe, though, on that 32 HP. It's going to be close, picks up the kit and the smoke from the corpse of his teammate, and they're good to escape. Travis on 11 HP, but AMKAL have strung together 3 rounds. And this is my big question, Jackie, and my concern if I'm a Fnatic fan right now.
Yeah. Body
went absolutely huge on Anubis. He carried them to the win, basically single-handedly. Second game, doesn't show up, doesn't perform, doesn't frag. No one was there to pick up the slack. Do Fnatic have that another player that can really pick up the slack and run forward with this in this team? Because when you considering how good a lot of these rosters are in this RMR, you can't be expecting your IGL to carry the flag, carry the torch, carry the rest of the players on his back. That's unreasonable.
And it's kind of deeper than that as well, Vince, because from the games we saw in the qualification process to even the games we've seen here, although it's a small sample size, you see that when Body's playing well individually, it's almost like the confidence for the team overall in the calls that he makes, the way that he manages them is better. When he struggles, he doesn't go for as many risks. And in CS2, at this point, man, it feels like the risk versus reward. You've got to have that confidence. You've got to go for some of those more aggressive plays. And the 2 names that would stick out to me really would be Matty's in one of those situations. He needs to come alive. He actually is a bit of a demon on the sticks, Vince, when he's feeling himself. And then it would be Afro. Afro with the AWP especially. Get him going. CT sides. But like we said before, you need the money. And the paper's not there. There's no green to work with. Sky's lit up by Hey Cheese, though, but no joy. No opening frag from the detonation this time for the T side.
And I guess that's where some of the inexperience and the fact that Afro is still young into this game could be a problem. Icy is dusting them off left and right. Yes, it was a lack of purchase coming into this round, but it's more of the same. Confidence of AMKAL building incredibly quickly. It may have been a scrappy head scratcher yesterday, but so far these T rounds have been looking pretty sharp.
It's 2 versus 3. Just under 60 seconds on the timer. When they rotated back round, setting themselves up with their eyes on the A site late. Body back towards CT. Starts his rotation. QB now shifting to join him up through the depths of CT. Icy, 26 HP, going in as the first contact, Vince, with the backup of Nickelback. There's a little bit of utility to work with for either side. Dribs and drabs. The T's can at least zone out some of these angles and put themselves into a position to make the play. Body reveals his card, the tap that does not land to deny the plant.
It hasn't even stalled the plant either. They went straight for a beautiful shot from Body, but now he's all alone. Has to try and pull this clutch off one. Oh, Crad, though, from the side is going to strike. A nice attempt, a valiant effort from Body, but again, he's all alone. Again, he has to do it by himself.
Thing is, though, if it's a kind of Katy Perry type situation, Vince, of is he going to be hot or cold? At the minute, he's looking pretty warm. Like, that was a round where I'm thinking, okay, I mean, he gets the first 2 frags. Who's to say he can't just pick up the clutch? Like, his shots have actually been on point, so it bodes well. But like you say, it's not the Body show, is it? He needs some backup. He needs someone else. And this might be the change. At least for the first time, Afro dons the scope.
We go for the boost as well. Matty's took grenade damage earlier on in a similar position. This time it's going to work out. Forrester plucked. One of the first times I can think of in this game where Fnatic have got the opening pick and it's been clean. So maybe this is the turnaround they've been looking for. Replenishing the smoke in Monster. It's going to get naded out and Crad may go in for this peak. Or maybe goes just before the grenade. QB in the meanwhile though is playing anti-flash. They nade off Matties, but QB's in the perfect moment here to try and lock this one down. The flash comes in, but it's too late. QB gets 2.
Crim's even chiming in with one towards short as Travis gets denied entry this time. And for the first time, Fnatic pass with flying colors, at least on the initial push. And AMKAL, realizing that the ship has sailed, send Icy on a bit of a fun run, Vince, a marathon the whole way around the map. AK in his hands, money pretty much in the bin as well, so holding on to the Kalashnikov, probably the best case scenario off the back of this one.
Yeah, and he is the player with the worst funds on the team as well. If this save is afforded, they'll be able to buy again into the next round. Won't be ideal, won't be fantastic, but they'll have some bits to play with. But good news on the side of Fnatic. They finally get themselves a CT round. Was pretty convincing, pretty good, and solid overall. QB up to 6 now. Afro wasn't called upon to use that AWP, but still maintaining a bulk of their utility. And that all adds up. That's all extra pennies and cents and dollars. So finally some success, something to get excited for on the CT side. But AMKAL, they'll be assessing their options here. There was a couple of flashes that were maybe a millisecond or 2 off that allowed QB to open up and get that double spray down. If that came a second earlier, I think actually that could have gone a very different way.
Fnatic reserved as well in the celebration. Couple fist bumps. You passed the first test, but obviously there's a lot more to go before you start to see them smiling and feeling like they're out of the woods on this one. Good to see QB getting activated early as well. You know, you think about him actually starting to get into a position to play the game a bit more, Vince, take some fights. Maybe that's the piece that falls in line for Fnatic. 3 rounds down at the minute, though, as the 6th goes live. Bit of a cheeky boost being set up here. It seemed like they wanted to go for the information round towards Connector. Meanwhile, same can be said out towards Fountain, peering in towards Toilets as the T's get a read on where the map control is for the CT side.
And AMKAL don't go in for the buy. They're being a lot more conservative and careful on this one. I respect it. Allow Icy to see what he can do in this one with the AK, the hero AK, and then the 4 combine to the next one if they're unsuccessful. Oh, that's going to be a shot that does draw Body away. Now, Body will be very aware of the fact that if they're trying to bait him out for this mid-push, which is exactly what was happening, it could have been a problem, but because he had backup in the form of Afro and also downstairs with Matties, it doesn't end up costing them too much. Afro's missed a shot there, and he may get wide swung from Icy if he's not careful, but there's Crims. The bodyguard in effect across the board. Solid teamwork, good crossfires, and Fnatic get it done without any loss of life.
Everyone had their 6 covered. And most importantly, right, it's a clean round, flawless in terms of not being forced to rebuy, crack open the wallet another time and spend some more money. So you're starting to at least get yourself into a bit of a better position on that CT side. Have the nades that you need and keep the weapons in fruition. We go live again, 2 rounds away from Fnatic being able to bridge the gap of AMKAL's early dominance here onto the map. Body switching it up as well, a little bit more aggressive in terms of the initial utility set with the deep HE and the spam that almost removes Forrester from the round instantly, Vince.
And he's been one of their more aggressive components, so that's going to put him on the back foot. They're going to switch across the weapons, make sure that Forrester on that P250, allowing Icy, who of course went for the save, and so his money's always been slightly behind, a lap behind the rest of the team, can now catch back up again. But that won't be too much of a problem as long as they can get the opening pick. These last couple rounds have gone away from them. Afro still in the bathrooms, this time alongside Body, but they have been Molotov'd off, taking long control as well alongside it. So AMKAL are making these little micro adjustments to allow them a little bit more real estate, but they haven't really cracked into the core of the map just yet. And there's only 55 seconds left, which seems like a lot, but when you consider how much utility there is from the CTs, that could be a problem. Body missing out on his opportunity, but there's a Molotov forcing them away. Body gets counter-flashed, and now this is going to put a lot more pressure on Afro and Crims to really pick up the slack.
Hot flash around the corner, Body blind but still spamming. Jumps back in for a rephase but loses his lips. Afro strikes on Travis, but we've quite quickly fallen into a 3 versus 3. Gonna have to wield the AWP like a shot. He misses on the backstab, Vince, as Krad claims his life with a Galil, and there's 20 seconds left to fix this round.
Not an easy shot by any stretch of the imagination, but expect a lot of Overpass to go for the no-scope in those situations. Completely caught by surprise. Matties and QB now with 10 seconds. One kill could be good enough to just isolate this away, but Matty sprays down, gets the 2, recovers in time. And time of the essence, forcing Forrester for the save with the AWP, meaning that Fnatic have strung together the last 3 rounds.
Fnatic's economy had finally built into a position where 3 casualties is fixable. It's manageable. The real commodity was the round, Vince. And that's claimed by Fnatic.
But even some of these Fnatic successes, Jackie, you're kind of wincing and you're grimacing and you're like, oh, yeah. It's nearly going away from them. Like that Afro moment in bathrooms, that could have definitely turned in favor of AMKAL. We're going in for the classic boost here. Orb trained to heaven. Not really a position we've seen Fnatic utilizing as of yet, and so it's going to be for naught. But at least Icy does have the saved AWP that Forrester took out of the previous round, so they do have a bit of firepower to play with.
What's worrying though, Vince, is Icy's success on the AWP tends to come from playing passive, defensive angles, when he can operate like a turret on CT side. When he's forced to play aggressive with a weapon, it doesn't feel like it's in his wheelhouse. It feels like it's not the sort of style he likes running. So T-side AWPing on Overpass, has he got the chops for it?
Well, we saw that yesterday on Nuke, right, against Enterprise, I believe it was, where his T-side was pretty slow, but he ended up with 16 and 11 with 1.12 rating, only bested by Friend, who's the other AWPer on Enterprise. On that CT side, he was landing 2 or 3 frags almost every single round, whether he was playing ramp or he was playing outside. This is a very different playground altogether, and as you highlighted, typically favors the CT side. They're looking for another one of those boosts. Nothing forthcoming. Afro definitely spotted multiple players with that jump peak. And our body needs to make sure he stays alive on long. If he falls, that's going to put a lot more pressure on Afro. It was a bit of a labored spray, but he finally gets it done. And now the 2 of them have been joined by Crims. And this should be a foregone conclusion, Jackie. If Fnatic lose from this point, it would be nothing short of a disaster.
Should be mop and bucket level cleanup for Fnatic. And obviously, Icy having the weapon, he didn't want to offer himself up in any sort of aggressive manner. Didn't want to try and be the tool to open up a bomb site in case he falls and the weapon can't be brought into the next. So again, it will just be a save. Clutches onto it. So they could be utilized in the next round. But the buffer that they had, Vince, is gone. We're now tied up 4 rounds a pop. As the duck is clearly a bit of a good omen for Fnatic. The mouse mat, not so much.
I mean, the duck looks a bit scuffed as well, to be fair. It's gone through a bit of wear and tear.
Maybe Matty's just has like really sentimental value to both of them.
Yeah.
You know? And that's fair enough.
You know, at the end of the day, it's about comfort, isn't it? Like, if you're comfortable there and it gives you that extra bit of confidence, then why the hell not, man? You do you, Matty's.
Also, maybe give it a try. see how it feels with a new mouse mat, you know? Might feel crisp. It might be good.
Maybe that's the change they need, you know, that then Matty's is dropping 30s every round, and we're basically saying, okay, they found their star consistent player.
Like they make it to the major, Khan comes running out with a fresh mouse mat, whips it out, throws it on the table at the halftime pause. Is that Khan's theme music? He's got the mouse mat, it's orange, Vince.
Well, so far he's had a pretty decent game. Matty's individually, body on 9 kills. It's pretty evenly spread across the board on Fnatic. For AMKAL, certainly Crad has been leading the charge. A lot of those kills did come in the pistol round, though. I think he got 3 in the pistol. Body's aggression in connector for this round. We haven't really seen this just yet against rifles. We've seen it against pistols. HG in, and Travis instantly dispatches of body, and that is con control shifting firmly in favor of the T's.
The AMKAL scalpel that makes an incision for map control in this round. Forrester looking for more, as well as the assaults, gets gory with the Galil, and QB falls. So Fnatic now going to have to reel to get themselves back in this round, Vince. Outnumbered. And the push is coming towards A. Crims, the old school cool. He had some big rounds yesterday, but has to show up massively here.
He only had 1 bullet. Oh, no. That is a horrible misjudgment from Crims. You know, you were saying old school cool. That's the veterancy, that's the experience. You don't expect him to be caught with one bullet in the magazine.
Oh, Vince.
Now, it's not to say that if he had 20 in the mag, it would have made much of a difference as
It
he was
would have
all
helped,
alone.
though.
But it definitely would have helped him. Yeah, and it wouldn't have been so awkward. Those are the kind of things, though, that can add up. Those can be big difference makers, because even if Crims got 1 or 2 kills, the economy of AMKAL is in no great shape. That in itself could have been a difference maker. Oh, I would actually kind of like to see a tactical timeout.
Yeah, that's really knocked me for 6. I didn't notice it. And now I'm on the floor, kind of just processing what I've seen, but...
He actually is on the floor, ladies and gentlemen, I can tell you that much.
I'm crouched.
He's crouched.
Wow, okay. Damn, you expected at least like 1 or 2, right? Like you say, do a little bit of damage towards the economy. It is what it is. Probably a round that you'd want to forget about. They do take the tactical pause, though. I mean, fair enough. You know, it's an important time to slow down the game, right? And kind of reset and make some adjustments, Vince.
Yeah, I'm kind of jesting that they would call it because of Crims being tilted, but actually I was meaning in terms of the overall picture of how this game is going, because we're in a fulcrum point. We're in a very important, intense moment in this game. Yes, Fnatic are behind. Yes, they're struggling, but they can still easily remedy this problem. Plus, in CS2, a lot of T-halves are getting a lot more success now. So even if you do end up behind on Overpass CT side, it's not the end of the world. But they got to make sure they at least fight for these last 2 or 3 rounds of the half, because it can make a big difference come that second half.
It's also crazy to me that we're living in a timeline where AMKAL, on the run-up to the RMRs, always float Overpass, but don't play it officially once. We get to the RMRs, they play it once. We all know how that went. They won the game in the end, 22-20. And now again here, Vince, they're looking pretty strong on their T side of the map up against Fnatic. It's a weird timeline of events for AMKAL, for this to kind of be the way the veto's going and how they're playing. A lot of kind of weird details in the overall series for this one, but their nade stacks have been on point. They've got the utility down to a T, as they've been rinsing Fnatic's B-site setup in a lot of these rounds.
The problem is, though, Jackie, they botched their Molotov on short, and so they weren't sure if short control was taken from the CT, so they've had to back away. Ideally, I think what they'd have liked to have done is try and take short control at the same time, or at least have been on that kind of page, or that have that option available to them. But because that molly missed, they weren't sure if players had already pushed in, and so they've had to back away. They've done a lot of damage to body, but that's unconfirmed damage. They're not sure what the current situation is, and this is taking a lot of time for them to readjust and to start to get into bathrooms. Oh, that's a huge pick, though.
It's a nice opener. Forest has been good for causing some issues down towards Monster. This is another one of those rounds where he's had some success. Good timing on a Molotov, and the spam through does damage onto Travis. He's actually shut down by Krad as well, with an unfortunate bullet landing into the back of his teammate and putting them in a 4 versus 4. 35 seconds on the timer, Vince. They deviate from the fight towards A, go down through connector, and go back to where this round started, the B-site bombardment in the final 30.
Yeah, Molly's proceeding to push with a flashbang as well. Mattis needs to have a couple kills up his sleeves. You have to feel he's gone into a more deep passive angle, and now Body and Crims are shining, and they're shining too bright, blinding the oncoming Ts. Fnatic losing the first player in Monster, at that point take all 5 players down without losing a second. Very impressive recovery.
That's what happens when Crims has a full magazine, Vince. Holds back the wave on the B-bomb site. And they do find success. All right, so again, this is looking to kind of go the trend of what we've had over the course of pretty much nearly every game in this RMR, Vince. A good majority of our halves have finished at a 6-6 scoreline, literally neck and neck, with CS2 switched to MR12. It's been a very consistent trend, and again, this leads me to believe we're going to see something similar here.
Crims eyeing up the nade into the peak. Grenade comes through. QB did connect Afro with the AWP, but it's into the legs of Nickelback. And he'll be limping and crawling away, but they do get out of there without loss of life. Both teams taking a bit of damage. I love that setup, though. The grenade into the peak. That's a cool little change of pace.
No, that was really sick. There's a lot of teams now that have had the extra time to figure out lineups, to break smokes for their teammates, but that was a beautifully executed one. And Mattis with a boost. Commanding respect. This time Forrester gets no success. He's been really good at instigating issues at the B-bomb site. Not today, though, Vince, as he falls an important round where you'd want him to force the CTs out as well. And Nickelback's low. Green around the gills with 13 HP, given the utility. to play as the grenade man, whilst the rest of the team tries to take the fights. Matty's probably going to be first point of contact on this if they're going for the B play, Vids. Is he ready to mow them down with the AK?
Well, the set play is coming through, 35 seconds left now. And Matty's, oh, he went for that wide swing, but no one's home. This is a ruse, it's a fake, it's misdirection. The problem is, though, Jackie, there's not much time, and they haven't dealt with bathrooms. I think Body's just been spotted, but as long as he survives, it draws away fire. Afro's got to hit these shots, though. There's one. It could be good enough. The second flick is on point, and now Nickelback, who is low on 13, may have survived the AWP barrage, but not Crims. Not the Swede, as he comes in and gives Fnatic a 6th. So since that tactical timeout, they've won the last 2.
Any of the bad memories, the bad omens, they are well in the past now. And it's AMKAL's turn to take a timeout, take a breather, and vocalize these issues, figure out what's going wrong. You can see the body language on some of them. Crims, meanwhile, just shrugging it off. He's been in these positions many, many times over the years, Vince. No stranger.
I just had a quick peek at the stats from yesterday's marathon between AMKAL and NiP on this very map of Overpass. AMKAL got 2 T rounds in regulation. They had 10 on CT side. So that paints a picture that their T side is the weak one, the CT side is a bit stronger. That may not bode well for Fnatic, but we'll have to see if that is a repeating occurrence today.
It's a bit of a worrying idea to have in the back of your minds. Early smoke goes down to block off Monster. So if AMKAL wanted to go for the quick pain train entry into the station, they'll at least be denied initially. They are going for a bit of a contact walk-in through the smoke, though. And Nickelback, flashed in by his teammates, looks for the entry. It's a dink, Vince, but it's not good enough. Matty's denies with 2.
Beautiful. Low HP, but those 2 kills worth their weight in gold, and now it forces AMKAL back. It's not just the 2 frags, it stops the push. It wastes the utility that AMKAL invested to try and get on the site in the first place. They're going to go for the peak, and they do get a bit of success here, but QB returns fire, and a 1-for-1 trade in that situation, perfectly fine as far as Fnatic are concerned.
7-5. Looks like a very real possibility at this point. As AMKAL down to just 2 players, neither of them with any of the bells and whistles they'd want in a sort of round like this either. Crad looking in the muck, the murky waters, seeing if there's anything extra he can use, but not looking good, Vince. 40 seconds. Best possible attempt to just play off one another, go for a raw site take in the dying moments. It seems like it's the A play they want. That's where the Galil was, underneath the water. But he couldn't spot it. It's all about the Tech 9 for him, Vince.
Tech 9 may be a blessing in disguise. We've seen some players do outrageous things with this pistol. 18 bullets of doom and misery, but it's Icy that gets 1 before Crims shuts it down, picking up his 10th of the half. And Fnatic, they managed to weather the storm. They picked 7 of the last 8 rounds up, and after that tactical timeout, it was all success for them.
7-5. It's a whole lot better than the way it looked like it was going, Vince. The first few rounds there on the CT side, it was really shaky. It did look worrying. The longer the game went on, though, the more they've started to kind of feel comfortable in their own skin today here at the EU RMR. And it's good to see Matty's was waking up a lot more as well towards the tail end. He was one of those players that kind of highlighted, because online, when we saw him through the qualification process, when he woke up, when he was able to sort of be that sleeping giant that could activate into a series, he does a whole lot for them. He's really strong on the rifles. In terms of his AK play as well, Vince, he's crisp. He was good for those entries. He was good to open up bomb sites. Very reliable. You'd hope that that's something we'll see now going into the T side, especially for any of the Fnatic fans out there.
Indeed, especially as this was 10 rounds strong. CT side very much last night against NIP. Yes, it's a different game. Yes, it's a different opposition. These are all factors that definitely come into it. But off a limited sample size, that's what we know about AMKAL. And the reason it's limited is because of the point that you highlighted at the start of this. Overpass not really a map that AMKAL have many reps on in terms of a roster. And it was a bit of a surprise. But I'll have to see what's in store. Against NIP, they did win both pistol rounds, by the way, and that's obviously a huge boon in MR12. So that's another caveat that we can put into place.
It does help. AMKAL were able to find that pistol round at least into this one. So you had a good start there. Can you claim another pistol? That's the question. A little bit longer on a halftime switch between this one, and then we'll obviously get things going again. That momentum can be quite a big part with the fact we haven't really had those extended breaks, Vince. People have been straight into the second half again and again. It's one of those where if you're having a rough game, can you instantly fix it? Or are you just thrown back into the ringer and forced to hope that you can sort it out on the server and speak with your actions? Game goes live now, though. Second half pistol coming up.
So a stat for you as well, Jackie, as we get into the second half. Top ADR performing player was Crims, 94.8 of his 10 kills coming into this. But that's all in the past, in the here and now. Fnatic on the T side going to be aggressing. Already AMKAL pushing Krad up into mid to get into connector, allowing a stack on the B side.
Oh, they wanted to go for the run boost. Mechanically, it goes a bit skew-if, though, and doesn't work out well. Krad, what's his mechanics looking like when it comes to punishing with the pistol? He's done some sticker work on that whiteout, Vince. He's playing around with the new mechanics, but it's down to his gun skill in a round like this. Minute and 20 seconds on the clock, and they're already up towards front toilets. IC can pop flash in for Forrester, though, to refake this out towards long.
Oh, Forrester with 3! The flash was sublime, though, from IC. They lined up for him. It couldn't have been a better lineup if they tried. And now Forrester, although low, can back away knowing he pretty much just secured his team the pistol.
Oh, that was despicable. Played to perfection. Flashbang in from his teammate. And they were gone in a flash, Vince.
And that's the bomb as well, Jackie. It's stuck in such an awkward position. It's why they're hanging around and trying to set up crossfires. IC going in for the jump peaks. Now knows that they've retrieved the bomb. 35 seconds left. If there's any way forward, it has to be an insta-headshot at this stage from Crims, who's going to be going out first into the firing squad. IC took a bullet to the dome, but he's still on 2 HP, and now Crims all alone. Travis cleans them up. An exquisite flash from IC, a 3K for Forrester, and that's the round done.
Just a smile and a thumbs up for the handiwork. But God, that's going to hurt, Vince. We get the replay of that one because it was sick. Everyone blind in the same angle. Easy adjustments with the mice. And it's a cleanup. 7-6 then, AMKAL. This is the pistol round that we were saying. They fought for last time. They were pretty damn good for it. So 2 in this opening best of 1 alone, Vince.
Yeah, that's a really important pistol round as well because of the CT prowess of setting up that economy early doors. Only 1 MP9 in play. Maybe anticipating that Fnatic would go in for a force buy here, even without a bomb plant. Not the case. But the superior weaponry really now should be shining as brightly as possible. And IC's going to see that first point of contact. The jump peak, even a 360 spin. But IC is putting this one down with authority. An ace with the MP9 and USP. And that's going to get things done very briskly indeed.
That's a moneymaker as well. Hey, he's big pimping off the back of that one, Vince. All the money you could physically want, and for the AWP of the team, that's the dream scenario, right? You farm up a whole load of frags on the MP9 and get the ace for style points.
That's a clean ace. Obviously against the eco, so can't get too carried away, but I bet Icy doesn't care. That's confidence. And we said before about he's a confidence-based player. He is a CT-sided AWPer. Well, that bodes very well for AMKAL. In the meanwhile, though, Fnatic, who are now drawed even at 7 apiece, have full assault rifles at their disposal. And we are going to see a boost coming in. Forrester now having a quick peek. No one's home.
At what point does this boost expire, though? That's the question. There's always kind of a half-life on it in terms of how long you can commit to this play. Tried to clear just outside of Monster as he jumps off. Audio cue will be given across. You'll have an idea of the sort of setup they went for, but it won't matter as they move off. In Connector, it's the triple threat. Flashbang over from QB as well, so they can go running on out Vince, but the spam's nice from Forrester. Good timing with the nade as well. Oh, it's awkward, but Body gets the entry.
He does, but they're so weak, so low. The Molly is going to take away the life of Matties, but more entries are forthcoming. HE tossed in between all the players, putting that into the back of the net, but so far it's just Fnatic that are scoring in this round. I'm not even sure that AMKAL feel convinced they can go in for this one in these current positions. That Molotov should kill Body. That's the difference of CS2. We could have got away with that in CSGO, but no longer the case. But Crips now in the perfect position with his spray. That allows AMKAL to get back into this now. The timer may be low, but the flashes are good, and QB is stuck between multiple positions. Stuck at the back of the site on 7 HP, and a leaping in the air crowd shuts him down, and with the kit, a successful clutch.
They bring themselves back into a round that looked like it had already expired. The flames burning bright for AMKAL on that one. And a frustrating round to lose, Vince. That's got to be a kick in the teeth for Fnatic, right? Oh, it's rough.
I mean, there was 2 or 3 moments where you think, right, this is where Fnatic close it. Crims watching Connector, this is where he closes it. He misses that spray. That affords, it's not just the fact that in terms of manpower, it goes back into favor of AMKAL, but now they've lost any presence on short, which puts way more pressure on the site. QB was then stuck in a horrible spot. Those small differences can be the win or lose condition of the round.
So punishing. Because of it, you can see the knock-on effect, right? Fnatic now just trying to piece together whatever they could physically afford. They've looked down the back of the sofa, found some Tech 9s. Ooh, QB nearly found an opportunity to backstab and at least get one with a Tech on deck towards short. The CT's back off, they reposition. Nickelback's going for the jump spot. Crims, he's heard this. Timing on a peak doesn't work out too well. They've got an idea where the CTs are, Vince. They flash in, they just try and rock up to the party and see if they can deal some damage with the pistols. But it's coming up pretty cleanly for the CT side.
The bouncers have rejected any entrance, and that is with their fists, just straight to the face of Fnatic, who are cartwheeled out of the round. That gives AMKAL the 2-round advantage at 9 and 7. Not sure what kind of a purchase may be coming up here. You can see Crims deep in thought, checking the notes. This is starting to get a little bit uncomfortable, and Fnatic know, again, this is where you have to try and put that previous round into the back of your mind. Like, that could have been our win, that could have been our condition to get into this half. They have the AKs at least. Let's see if they can make it work this time.
These are the kind of rounds where in Major Cycle Counter-Strike, in RMR Counter-Strike, you need to give it that extra sort of 20%, go above and beyond the usual output that you have, Vince. If there was a player going for the boost, they would have been absolutely obliterated. Instead, though, all that does is drain a lot of their resources with offensive utility on the side of Fnatic.
Forrester enjoying the fireworks show as 3 grenades detonate to his side, but don't affect him at all.
It's like January 1st.
Exactly. And there'll be plenty to celebrate for AMKAL if they can continue to get into winning ways here. A 10th round on the horizon potentially, as Icy getting aggressive out on bathrooms. Has the Sanctuary of Nickelback also alongside him with Crad. So they're buddying up here to make sure that any early confrontation through middle should favor them. The problem is, though, that they're hitting that kind of time in the round where they know that long is now becoming a bit of a problem. So they're going to just back away a little bit.
45 seconds on the clock. The up-close angle in play. Icy, defensive with the AWP, strikes first. Crad supports on the repeat as QB gets domed. Laid out on the ground. Time now getting tight, Vince. 32 seconds. Crims with the flank. Pulls off the backstab on Crad. Nickelback trapped between 2 angles. Can't decide who to prioritize, but his teammates do the work for him. And it's all on Crims. 20 seconds. He's got the bomb, but you're vastly outnumbered.
Outnumbered, and now he's not sure with the smoke as to where these CTs even are anymore. Yeah, he has the right idea. He even landed a bullet or 2 onto Icy, but it's going to do nothing for his overall prospects of winning this round. So they cannot deny AMKAL a 10th round. They are undeniable at this point on this CT side. Yes, there can be another buy coming up, but they just don't seem to have the ability to crack through this defense. That is now 5 unanswered CT rounds for AMKAL.
It's the way they've won these rounds as well, Vince. Each and every one of them make you feel like you're being ripped out of the server, thrown back into the seat. And the change of the body language on both teams over the course of this series, you can just read it on their faces, how everyone's feeling, right? And it's also just like the energy, man. The difference of kind of Afro not really being as active or showing up as much into this map, Vince, compared to when we saw him back on Anubis with the opening game they played, how much difference it was in terms of them smiling, kind of like bouncing off each other. Fnatic looking like a team that were really thriving off the energy of each and every one of them in the room. Whereas now, it's not there. You kind of can't get your head into the right space, and obviously it doesn't help when you feel like we haven't got the guns to fight with. We're on T-side overpass as well, which can be a bit of a cruel mistress at the best of times. It doesn't bode well, but AMKAL, though, in a great position now in terms of their RMR run. 3 rounds away, and here's a change of pace. Body goes in quick through Monster.
Nice flick from Icy, though. Oh, a second one as well. And he's still alive, still kicking here with multiple teammates all around, and they stack 4 at the start of this round. The call is on point from AMKAL, and although the kills came in from Afro, it shouldn't be too much more past this point, and Krad will make sure that that is a reality. Blinken, you would have missed that round. 11-7 now the score, and AMKAL, not only are they on point with their utility, their positioning, but the calls as well, to stack 4 players and your AWP on pillar. Perfect position at the perfect time.
Playing off each other really well. And for Fnatic, you know, you kind of feel like maybe you're getting towards the bottom of the book when you're looking at what sort of plays they can go for on their T-side, Vince. The fast tempo maneuver, Body with a mat 10 just looking for a quick entry, hoping for the best. How do you pivot from that? How do you adjust from that? The early utility over towards Fountain side. It's a smoke up with a HE follow-up that softens up the opposition. Krad, will he outstay his welcome? He wants to play on the close angle, Vince. Afro's pre-scoped, gets the frag.
It's a nice shot as well. Maybe not the angle he was anticipating. May have even been aiming more towards bathrooms, but adjusted it quickly. But the threats are still plentiful. Many hurdles to trip over, one of which is Travis. 1 kill, though, is all he can muster, and that could open up business on the B side. They have Nickelback watching the cross, needs this kill. Crims bests him, and a 2-on-4. Fnatic surely have got to win their first T round now.
They need to. But they've got to speak with their actions, not their words. QB. He tries to defend as he'll strike against Forrester and Icy. If he wanted to be the hero of the round, Vince, it'll have to be waiting for another day. He backs off for the save onto the AWP. Wants to prioritize the weapon, knowing they've got a big buffer of rounds. They can give this one away. They can give Fnatic an 8th on the board.
Of course, they would have wanted to have got this one done as fast as possible, but they'll feel confident and comfortable to know they still have a buffer of rounds to work with. They still have funds at their disposal. They can write this off as a fluke, as a blip on the radar. Fnatic will be gathering themselves their first round on the T side, and it has taken them 6, but they've broken the curse. They've lifted it. And now they'll be hoping to go from strength to strength. There is quite a lot of funds on a couple of players here, around $10,000, but the mid portion of this roster, around 4 to 5K. So the CT side economy, if Fnatic can rinse and repeat, it will begin to deplete a little bit, and that could be their way back in.
It's just about consistency more than anything now, right? Your room for error is very slim. You don't have a lot of a buffer to work with. It's 1 round and then AMKAL is sat on match point. Back towards the early aggression on Fountain side. Short is fought for as Forrester runs through his own smoke, but Afro puts the barrel in the belly and pulls the trigger with the entry. QB on the tap as well. Bye-bye, Travis.
Keyhole surgery shot, beautiful to watch. And Icy in the meanwhile, though, is going to make sure that this isn't uncontested. There will be some bloodshed in return. It could just be all for naught, though, a drop in the bucket, because the bulk of the damage has been done, and it will afford the luxury of Fnatic getting up close on the B side. Flashbang in for the peak. No one home. Nickelback can relay that information, but with a minute left on the clock, Jackie, Fnatic don't have to make any sudden movements. They can wait out a little bit longer and see if maybe AMKAL over-rotate, get a bit aggressive. Krad's trying to fake out the rotation, and that could be the go button. Fnatic may be baiting down on that push.
Grenades go over the top, back towards Graffiti. It's just a splatter of blood as Krad is slain. Nickelback has his back broken, and Icy again is forced to save. Fnatic get themselves a 9th round. They're holding the Reaper back, Vince, with each and every one of these, but their T side does not have any space for a mistake.
That's precisely it. The pressure is certainly on. And let's take stock of the situation as well, Jackie. It's not just the RMR. This is a 1-1 matchup. Yeah. You win this, you are 2-1 already. You're in a very good spot. You go 1-2. Some of the teams we have down in that 1-2 bracket are looking very sharp indeed. This is a super important game for both teams, with best of threes coming up after this. So you do not want to squander your opportunity to give yourself the best possible step towards the major. And Icy holds on to the AWP for one more shot. Oh. I think that probably saved Crim's life more than anything else, because that crosshair was on his head.
He was a dead man walking, Vince.
He was.
And it's terrifying as well, right? Because the setup you give there, it really does resonate with the fact that you think, for some of these players, Vince, you can see the stickers on their weapons. The brand value for Fnatic in Counter-Strike. It's the first CS2 Major, Vince. It's a whole new timeline, a new era of Counter-Strike. If you lose this game, the position you leave yourself in, your chance to bring yourself back from the gauntlet and make it to the Major, it's not going to be easy. It really isn't going to be easy. Winning this game gives you a springboard, Vince, where you're at least looking at best of threes. And you can win best of threes. That's what you're thinking. You want to put yourself in the best spot. Especially for Crims as well, you think about the legacy. To run it back, to make it to the first CS2 Major. What that would mean for some of these players.
And you nailed the word I was thinking of, and that's legacy. Fnatic have such a legacy in CSGO. At the tippity top for so long. And let's see if they can make this rush work. We've had a bit of a time out call. Maddie's undeterred by the grenades, leaping into the air and finds himself Icy. Thaws him out real quick. But Nickelback was there for a couple of seconds before he eats the dirt from Body's AK. More trades going in favor of Fnatic, putting it into Krad, and QB is there to double up. Just a straight up rush B tactic paying out dividends for Fnatic.
And something's changed as well. The way they're starting to play now, they're actually backing themselves into these rounds, Vince. You can see the confidence on them with the plays they're starting to make, and Body as well. This is one of those games where even towards the start, we're saying if it's a matter of him underperforming and not having the confidence in some of the important situations, or him really showing up, this is a game where he's going toe-to-toe with some of the best fraggers on this Fnatic roster. Sat there in the middle portion with 14 frags, looking good. Afro also gets an opportunity to play to his strengths, having the AWP. Meanwhile, AMKAL, the team that was dominating during this game, now finally finds themselves in a position where you feel uncomfortable. Yeah, we've got the points to play with, we've got rounds to work with, but you don't have the money for a full buy, Vince. It's just pistols and the one MP9 for Forrester.
Yeah, a couple rounds ago, they were kind of like, you know, it's that Woody Harrelson meme of crying into their dollar bills.
Yeah,
you know,
they
when
had
they
all
lost.
the money.
Now that's not the case. Now they're just crying and very uncomfortable in the process because they know that their fortunes have changed. They've checked the bank. It is 0. Printed across collectively. So MP9, Deagle, P250s. They do have a little bit of utility with these smokes. Lack of kit, though, also going to be a problem. But do they have the right read? 4 players on B. But you better believe that Fnatic have a good read of the situation themselves. They know the finances are going to be on the low end of the spectrum. So they don't need to over-aggressively push in. They're going to be doing their due diligence and taking their sweet time.
And it's the blessing that you can play with. You use the rifles for the range advantage. Don't let those 5.7s, those pistols up close, be in a position where they can punish you easily. A lot of utility being dumped towards the A site as well. It seemed like there was a bit of a timeline here, Vince, where they were hoping for an over-rotation to potentially wrap back round towards B. Lucky they don't go for that, though, because it's where the vast stack of the CTs is. Timing on a push through the smoke doesn't work well for Krad, but at least the bomb is now safely planted on the A site, and they fragmented the rotation as well. So they've got AMKAL trapped between both sides.
AMKAL will be able to muster up a buy whatever happens here. Obviously, holding on to some of this Kevlar will certainly help matters, and if they can trade up to an AK or a Galil, all the better for it. So that's been a prize gift wrapped across. They'll happily oblige with that one. Icy picks it up for himself. But in terms of the overall picture, it will read 11 apiece between Fnatic and AMKAL. As we are in the dying embers of our second half. Beautiful dig from Travis. That would be a considerable investment taken away from the T's and trading hands if he can survive with this one. Nickelback punishes body as well. And Maddies, although he gets one, they've saved an open and AK. That's a huge boon to their buy.
Yeah, from the debt they were in, Vince, they've just paid off the loan sharks. Suddenly it's gotten a whole lot better, right? You kind of sat there thinking, all right, we can work with this. Icy gets his weapon back. Icy gets the orb. But we need to see him start to pass the test of a defensive AWPer with flying colors. Because for a lot of these rounds, Vince, it's been down to him feeling like he's already out of the round by the point he gets a chance and he has to save. This is one where saving isn't going to do much for you because you will give up map point and series point here on Overpass.
QB with a nade. This time it's not a triple stack grenade, and ironically enough, had it have been, Nickelback may have died this time. 68 HP, 32 chunked away from that one $300 investment. But also saving those two weapons means that even if AMKAL did concede this round, they wouldn't be completely broken for the next one. So it has multiple knock-on effects, but of course they don't want to think about if they lose. They're thinking if they just outright win this game, and they have every chance to do so.
Trouble at toilets. Smokes and flashbangs going off. I see. Will he see them, Vince? He's going for the contact peek, walking around the corner. Ooh, it's going to be a bit rough on the timing for it. Matties, you'd think maybe he'd have an opportunity to surprise, but instead he's slain. The other AWPer in Afro claps back, though, and it's 1 for 1. The snipers leading the charge right now.
It's a bit sloppy from Crad, isn't it? Peeking before the smoke fully plumed. That's the kind of position that AWPers typically will eventually relate into, especially with 35, 40 seconds left on the clock. And that sloppy play may have cost them dearly. Travis, in the meanwhile, damage inflicted to QB, but it's not enough. But this is all a ruse, because the bulk of the T's have their eyes trained on the A site, and Icy will be called upon one more time as Afro dispatches of him how he wishes Crad was still alive to help him out.
Begging for the backup that will never come, Vince. His teammates are already firmly placed in a grave, and from Fnatic looking like they were out in this map, they've clawed themselves a path towards a potential victory. And with the final few shots connecting, it seems like a 12th is now guaranteed.
And he's certainly been guaranteed, as Forrester has no intent or interest in going for this, and Crims is already a few steps ahead. He knows the importance of securing no survivors in this round. They have tons of cash as well. They're going to have easily enough to buy into the next one. And Forrester's chosen a bit of an off angle to save in, so I'm not sure he'll even get peeked by Body here. Down to 57, Body does go in for the peek, but comes out second best. And Forrester goes in for the swing. Why? You're still alive. Did he anticipate maybe a second player was coming from Graffiti side of under? I'm not entirely sure what the thought process is, but he's lost his weapon regardless.
Crims's AK in his hands being a bad omen there, Vince. Falls to the man who owned the weapon. And they take the 12th round. They put themselves now on that springboard, on that platform we were talking about. The difference of losing this game or winning it, just so much for your potential chance to make it to the major.
Huge.
Now it comes down to this, Vince. Round 24. Overtime or bust.
Well, they've got the first pick off the boost. So it could be the former rather than the latter. Afro having a lot more impact with that AWP on this T side, that's for sure. But his opposite number of Icy is still alive. 20 frags to his name. Matty's just making moves into bathrooms on the long side now. Does also have Body as support structure. The HE up and over onto the bank, double nading it. And there's a molly behind it as well. But all this is doing is giving away the information. And AMKAL are amply stacked onto the site here. Icy can just hide behind the box, but it's Body that opens it up. Gets the entry, looking for more, but he doesn't quite have the timing on Crad, who puts him down.
But the bomb isn't there, Vince. It's all been an elaborate ruse, and in reality, they want to abuse the defensive setup towards the B site. 45 seconds on the clock. Flashbangs go soaring over. The lurker of Matties could be a big backbreaker in this round, but they haven't hard committed yet. They're waiting, looking for an opportunity to set up the play. Forrester gets angsty and wraps back towards A. Matties can cut him down, Vince, and give them an opening pick to play with. It's all about timing on this one.
Oh, Forrester checks again, but there's only 20 seconds, so the rest of the T's now need to make a move in. They have the springboard, they have Matties, the snake in the grass, who can pincer in and try and put an end to this comeback. As he goes in for the spray, there's the double, and Matties seals the deal as Fnatic get it done in regulation.
A Matties massacre coming in when it matters most. Fnatic survive the...